Yes, welcome everyone. We are here to celebrate our episode 11 of season 3 here of Beyond the Badge. That means we are almost wrapping up our third year of episodes. These are the stories we collected in November from the System Daily Huddle, and I cannot wait to share them with all of you. Our audience is just starting to fill up as we cross 12 o'clock, so thank you for those of you who got here right on time and ready to go. And I know that audience is just going to keep building over the next few minutes. So during that time, let me give a little bit of background for those of you who are here before we jump into 17 exceptional employee stories. So my name's Steve Fecto. I'm from Talent Development and Learning. I'm joined by an incredible team backstage. We got about 30 people backstage, eager and ready to go. But Alyssa G and Andrea, Jessica Rubin, Madison Irving are all helping coordinate this event, bringing our guests on screen to be honored. So thank you to them backstage. They're also going to be dropping helpful information to you in the chat. And Zoom has a resources tab on webinars. There's lots of great resources like our event program is in there. If you want to follow along, see photos, see quotes about our honorees, their roles, titles, where they're from. That's all in our resources, as well as some great links. So you can check that out. And we hope you participate. You have a job out there. You're not just watching. You're joining us and cheering on the colleagues or the family members that you're here to celebrate by using the chat. I recommend everyone sets that to everyone, not hosts and panelists, where only the people backstage see it, but to everyone. And join us by cheering on these honorees. Now, I like to start by saying where these honorees come from. How did we collect these 17 employee stories? Well, if you noticed in the opening video, every single day there is a System Daily Huddle. These come from the System Daily Huddle. And every day, our senior leadership from across our massive health system, all of our hospitals and ambulatory centers and different service lines, their leaders come together for a daily huddle to ensure we are ready across our system to have a high quality, safe, and exceptional day for our patients and our families and our communities. So they have this huddle and they take one pause, every single day, one person in a rotation has their chance to celebrate an employee. And they say, okay, it's my turn. Who am I going to recognize during my turn in this monthly rotation to share a story of someone from my location? And these leaders chose these stories in November, and we've collected them all. They proudly shared either a patient letter or a star recognition, a peer-to-peer recognition, or maybe it's just some remarkable one-time event where someone stepped up in an emergency and just in an inspiring way, or perhaps it's a spotlight of a program they're dedicated and working on, or their overall body of work. These leaders chose these individuals, these 17 to 20 people, there's a couple of pairs out there, out of our 48,000 employees to share their story that inspired them so we can now share it with you here on Beyond the Badge. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know a lot of those who are new to our audience are the people who are family members or friends or colleagues of an honoree. And this is your first time joining, but we have a lot of regulars out there, and our regular audience is our senior leadership. We're always joined by executive leadership and our hospital presidents and our chief nursing officers and chief medical officers and so many of our senior leadership from across the health system. I love to start by, amongst all of them out there, calling on a couple to help welcome our audience and say hello to all of you. And one of our biggest fans of the show and who's here so frequently is Dr. Tracy Breen. I'd love to call Tracy on up. She's our Chief Medical Officer of Mount Sinai Morningside and Mount Sinai West, always an enthusiastic supporter of employee recognition. So Dr. Breen, I'd love to give you a chance to say hello.
Thank you, Steve. So happy to be here yet again. They keep inviting me back, so that's awesome for me. I'm just really happy to be here. This is it's a great event. It's a great way to kick off 2025 to celebrate all of you. I just share that when we think about the art of medicine, it's a lot about storytelling. The stories our patients tell, the stories we tell each other, and how we listen and learn. But for me, the joy of much of this work is about the stories we tell each other. And as a chief medical officer of two big hospitals here in Manhattan, the morning huddle, the leadership huddle that we do, we talk about a lot of serious stuff: access, how our ERs are, what facility issues there are. If there is an emergency, that is the place where the most senior people gather to figure out how the day is going to go. But I think intentionally early on, creating the space that Steve shared, where we just remember why we're all here, and we're all here because of what you do. And for me as a leader, getting to pick which of those stories we're going to share, because we've got a lot of amazing stories. We never are out there looking for a story. It's like we have a bunch of great stories to tell. Which one are we going to use to share? And it's everything from the one-off heroics to what I call the everyday excellence. And I think it is an excellent reminder for all of us leaders that you are what brings our patients that level of trust and caring that make us all great. So really happy to be here. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Breen. And I know you're so proud to be able to share those stories on the huddle. So I know you're excited for Morningside and West honorees, but you're always chiming in on all the celebrants, which I
I'm
love to
excited for
see.
everybody. This is
Yeah,
a
because
great
it's
way to
one Mount
meet
Sinai.
the cream of the crop.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's the same things that make people excellent at West and Morningside is makes excellent work around our health system. So they're all inspiring to all of us, and I really appreciate how supportive you are of attending these events and cheering on our staff. All right. And after Dr. Tracy Breen was out there in our audience, I'd love to introduce Dr. Gary Butts. He's our Executive Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the health system, as well as the Dean for Multicultural and Community Affairs in the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. And Dr. Butts, I know how passionate you are about celebrating our employees. Our diverse employees for 48,000 people are all unique individuals. And I really appreciate you for joining us today to celebrate them.
Well, Steve, first of all, I want to thank you and the teams for giving me this opportunity again to share a few words to express my thanks for all of you for what you do to support us, our missions, and advancing our work in general, and particularly our work in DEI. And another observation is that this is, just a rare opportunity to say thanks, and we just don't have the opportunities to do this often enough to say thank you because you are us, right? And there are many examples of that and a few I'll come to in just a few minutes. But for me, it's truly been a privilege, a real privilege to lead and support our Mount Sinai community, particularly as it relates to advancing DEI. I will acknowledge that my personal and professional growth and our institution, our system, has been dependent on so many of you and the work that we do together in many ways, and also to keep me and our work relevant. I came to Mount Sinai more than about 45 years ago now, and I came because Kurt Hirschhorn, who was the chair of PEDS at the time, simply said at the end of the interview, "You come here, you work hard, and I can guarantee you that it will all work out." You know what? Why have I stayed? Because he was right. And what we've been able to do, what I've been able to do and support has been unique. And frankly, it's taken 45 years to get to where we are, at least from my perspective. And our challenge now is to sustain this work. There's a lot of hope. All right, as I come into the atrium in Annenberg, each morning, it is simply an extraordinary climate of cultural diversity and work ethic and all the other things that make Mount Sinai unique. As I stand on the cafeteria line to get a sandwich, the many people come by and say hi, so many who I just don't even know. It's really the kind of expression that's important for us as staff, as leaders, and of course, it translates into what we do, what we can do for our patient. And then on the occasional time that I've actually been a patient at Mount Sinai, I have had to take that experience back to Erica and to David Rich and to Dean Charney and others, and even to Brenda Carr. The kind of care, and I don't think it's because of who I am. It's because I was a patient who was in need at the time, and the attention to detail was just extraordinary. And I just have to say that because the folk who were caring for me just are so invisible. Just like you all, as I'm scanning who's in the audience today, there's so few of you who I know. But the reality is that you are really what makes us who we are, what we are, and what makes us special as an institution. So your contributions, in leading either with a title or without to our work, to our community, and supporting our climate that makes us special is extraordinary. And I simply want to thank you all for that. And so let's figure out a way to keep you visible,
Hmm.
to support you for making us the best of what we are. And Steve, thank you again for the opportunity for this rare opportunity to share my thanks with our community at large. So thank you, and I'll stop there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Butts. Really, really well said. And, for someone who's been here for 45 years, you know a lot of people, but we can never know everybody. There's 48,000 employees here. So there are always new stories and new people to meet and learn and recognize that this excellence is all across our health system. And as many of the stories as we've heard, there's so many stories out there. So we're excited to share this group of stories. And I promise you, we will never run out of people to celebrate across our great system. But we're excited to dive into this group's of stories. Now, we are a health system. We do have to bounce around. If you're looking at our agenda, people are with patients and where they're coming in and out and trying to get them. So that's why my colleagues backstage, they're already rapidly letting me know some changes that we're making to the program as we go. So bear with us on that. I'm going to call on who's ready to go. So be ready in that chat to celebrate. And I want to thank ahead of time our presenters. They're from our Mount Sinai Spotlight Committee. They are the folks who lead employee experience and patient experience work across our health system. So we always thank them for their contributions. I know they're so proud to be able to celebrate the employees from their sites and locations that they represent. So they are the group who are going to be reading these stories. So we're going to start with celebrations from patients. These are often from patient letters. And actually, I'm going to skip the first one. Simone Henry, Amy, we don't see her just yet. We're hoping that Simone is able to join soon. And we're actually going to go, our first one is someone who is not able to come on camera. She is listening. Zana McCovey is out there. She's listening. She's in our audience. But this was the patient letter. We recently received two letters of appreciation for case manager Zana McCovey in the Mount Sinai West emergency room. Both letters commented on Zana's kindness, empathy, and efficiency in helping move patients out of the ER to a private room. Her leadership proudly adds that Zana has been a cornerstone of our case management and emergency departments, practicing with clinical expertise, a collaborative approach, and an unwavering commitment to patient-centered care. She skillfully manages meeting the complex needs of our patients and those of our organization. The impact of her work extends beyond her clinical abilities, for her humanity and compassion lead to profound impressions. Now celebrating 10 years of service at Mount Sinai, Zana is a testament to how one person's dedication to always go above and beyond can transform care experiences and create lasting positive outcomes for all involved. And with Zana listening in, she knew she couldn't come on screen, so she submitted a response to this wonderful message that I'd love to be able to share with you as well. She wrote such nice words. She said, "I am deeply grateful for the recognition by the patient's family and Assistant Director of Case Management, Jose Morales, who's always supportive and available to his team. When we approach each patient and family, we do that with empathy, respect, and an understanding of their unique needs and perspectives. We also create a foundation of trust and partnership. Our care is built on the belief that every interaction is an opportunity to make someone feel seen, heard, and valued. When I see that, when I see that I make a difference in someone's life, that is the greatest reward and brings me the ultimate work satisfaction." And she ends with wanting to give a special thank you to the people who've supported her always, her mom, amazing husband, Alex, and kids, Lana and Danielle. So thank you, Zana. I know you're out there listening. I just love this line. Every interaction is an opportunity to make someone feel seen, heard, and valued. That is an example of the personal mission statements that all of our excellent employees have. I hear it so often, and a celebrant will share some line that drives their everyday work, and they keep that mindset, and that makes them not just excellent for this patient, but for all patients and in everything they do in their work. So, Sana, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Congrats. Thank you. All right. With that, I want to go on to our next story. And I'm going to jump to someone I know who's here while I wait for word on a couple of others. Kathy, sorry to be jumping around on you. Kathy Gilbert's going to fill in for New York Eye and Ear Infirmary celebrant Stacy Ann Peters. So let's go on to Stacy Ann and Kathy. If you're ready with that one, you can go ahead and get started, and we'll bring Stacy Ann
All
on
right,
up.
hold on a second, Steve. Just got to get it
I
together.
know I'm bumping around on you. That's all right.
Okay, you're keeping me on my toes today. Here we go. Licensed practical nurse Stacy Ann Peters is a patient advocate with a caring and reassuring nature about her, who receives the most beautiful letters from patients about the exceptional care they receive. A recent family member wrote, I accompanied my mother-in-law to the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary of Mount Sinai as a walk-in patient, and we were attended to an outstanding nurse named Stacy. She was exceptional, thoroughly explaining the process and asking relevant questions about my mother-in-law's concerns. It was refreshing to see that she remembered us from over a year ago, especially in such a busy hospital environment. Stacy was both professional and warm, and we were able to complete everything without issues. Overall, the entire staff was professional, and the bathrooms and waiting areas were clean, adding to the positive experience. I look forward to being with my mother-in-law at her next appointment.
Looking forward to more doctor's visits. You know you've made an impact on the families when they're looking forward to their next appointment. So that's really wonderful, Stacy. And I like that they mentioned the entire experience at New York Eye was spectacular, but specifically highlighted their interaction with you. And I'd love to hear how you describe your personal approach to interactions with patients that leads to what they define as this balance of professionalism and warmth. How do you bring that sense to all of your patients?
Hi, everyone. Um, Normally what I do with my patients when I go and I introduce myself, I try to ask questions pertaining to why they're here and try to explain the process to them
Yeah, I'm on.
about what's going on. I try to be as professional as I can and be an advocate for all my patients. I'm very grateful to the patient and their family members for writing about me.
Hmm.
And that's it.
Well, really wonderful, Stacey. Very humble of you to accept this on behalf of the entire experience they had. But, patients recognize not only excellence overall, but the one person who really stood out that they'll remember and look for again. And I bet this patient, this family looks for you and sees your face and will bring them comfort and knowing that they'll have the confidence that they're going to receive excellent care each time they come and see you.
Okay, thank you.
Really wonderful, Stacey Ann. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, and backstage, I've heard we are going to go backwards a bit. I know I'm jumping around on you, but Simone Henry is here. She was going to kick things off. If Amy Nelson is ready, we're going to go back to you, Amy. Hi, Simone. We're so excited to get to share your story that came from another patient letter. So, Amy, I'll let you share that one.
Thank you, Steve. Leadership in the Transplantation Institute recognized phlebotomist Simone Henry, saying, Simone is one of our top phlebotomists who draws the most patients daily. She's so good that we have asked her to take on the task of doing all donor labs and the majority of the initial labs for kidney patients. Her expertise was highlighted recently through a compliment from a kidney donor who was very nervous about the process. When she then saw the number of tubes of blood she needed to have drawn, she became even more anxious. But the donor shared how Simone helped her to feel very comfortable and relaxed. She commented on how overwhelming the process of donating can be, and to have someone to reassure her that things will be okay is very helpful and appreciated. Thank you, Simone, for all of your hard work and dedication to our patients.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And Simone, so I've been there. I'm not good with getting my blood drawn, and I just love the person who does it for me. And it's so wonderful to hear that you're that trusted person for our organ donors who are coming into the Transplantation Institute. And I'm wondering if you could just comment on, what you'd say is the most important thing you do that leads to this feeling from this very specific patient population, understanding who they are and what they're coming in for, that helps you connect with them in that way that shows that creates that comfort for them.
So let me start by saying that I'm very enthusiastic about my job. And for me, I prioritize comfort and safety. And with that, I am able to explain the procedure. I'm able to explain the procedure, and I'm also addressing any concerns and ease any, like if the patient is not any anxiety that the patient has. So for me also, I maintain a calm and reassuring environment to make sure the patient is comfortable and safe throughout the procedure.
So I'm loving it, Simone, and our audience is loving it. Safety is always our first value. To hear that you start, the environment I'm going to create is one of safety and comfort, and then you make the choice of now how do I do that? Making those decisions, giving great explanations so people understand what's happening with them, creating that comfortable experience, showing that empathy is absolutely making a difference, and it's clear why your leadership trusts you to do the blood draws for this very specific and vulnerable patient population.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, Simone.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Amy. I'm going to keep things moving with our appreciation from patients category. And next up, I'm going to go to Mount Sinai, Queens. I see Monique Smalls is in our panelist list here. So let's bring Monique up, and our colleague Zachary Key is going to read this story from Monique.
Thank you so much, Steve. And this is one of my favorite stories I've had the honor to read on this call. But the story reads, after their 2-week hospital stay at Mount Sinai, Queens, followed by time in a rehab home, a patient wrote a poem and message to thank their housekeeper, Monique Smalls, saying, while I was a patient on the fourth floor, you became very near and dear to me, and I always look forward to our daily talks. There were times that I got down in my thoughts and spirit, but then I would think of you and your gift, and it lifted me back up again. By gift, I mean the gift of you, your thoughtfulness, kindness, and compassion. You are the sweetest and most considerate person I've met in a long time. You will never know what you did for me. And the poem with the first letter of each line spelling out the word thanks reads, T, there's a rare and special quality in the way some people live. H, however, busy they may be, they still have time to give. A, anything you ask or need, they'll do their very best. N, no matter what the task is or how simple the request. K, kindness just comes naturally to the rare and selfless few. And S, special giving people, people just like you.
Thank you, Zach. I just love that poem. I hope you don't mind. I had to pop it up on screen so people could read it and follow along. It's so heartfelt, so emotional. Monique, I agree with Zach. I just love this story. This is the ones I keep tissues for as I read it the first time and saw we were sharing it. And I'm wondering if you can tell us, what does receiving a letter or a poem from a patient like this mean to you? And how does it reflect the care and kindness you bring not only to this patient, but to every patient you interact with every day?
When I first read the letter, I was in tears, in tears, in tears. When she handed the letter to give to me, she thought that that I forgot her, that I wouldn't remember her. But with her, I'm gonna always remember her because she comes from a family like the only one. Like she's the only one from her parents. Her parents is the only one from their parents. So it's like a long history of the only one. And the thing about her is that I'm gonna always remember she has no kids. So after her, that's it. So that really hurts me. But every day I look forward, not only my daily talk with her, but with all the patients I interact with. Go in a room. The first thing I do, I put a smile on my face. Good morning, how y'all doing? And I always ask them what do they want, what's going on, are you good, are you okay? Try to make them feel as comfortable as ever, because that's how I will want to be feel. Try to make them feel like, y'all, you also a part of my sauna. You don't have to work here. You're a patient here to your family. So every time, every morning I go in, they help me, I help them. And I did not know that I helped them in a big impact like this.
Right. Well, I mean, you didn't know, but clearly
Yes.
it's just massive. And I hope you cherish that poem forever
Yes.
and
Yes.
that letter.
Yes.
And it's a
It's in a
reminder.
frame.
Yeah. Some patients have all sorts of support from family and some have none. And they really look
Yes.
to the employees who step up for them and create that support. who really need it. And they don't have anyone to lean on. And for you to step into that role for them is just amazing and heartwarming.
Yes, because you never know what you can do for a stranger as well as a stranger could do for you.
Right. Oh, just beautiful, Monique. The
Yes.
fluttering hearts are galore in this part. Go back into the chat and see the wonderful things people are writing about you. And we're so glad we could share that story.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to jump around a little bit. Dr. Hurt and Dr. Spencer are coming to you next. We do have a group from South Nassau who's got a conference room only for a little bit more time. They're all there to cheer on Linda Goldstein. So I'm going to jump to our spotlight section for Linda Goldstein of South Nassau and then go back. So Olivia McGregor's here. Let's bring up that team. They're having a party for Linda. So let's hear it. Yes, you're so loud that Zoom cut out the noise of the cheering. It was so loud. So Olivia, let's hear this story for Linda, who's right up there front and center.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Our community care manager, Linda Goldstein, assists patients in the community by responding to inquiries or calls regarding discharged patients. Linda identifies any issues, reaches out to her long list of resources, both community and in-house, to solve the issues. Dependent on their immediate needs, she will address the issues, including finding a home care agency to start the next day or a skilled nursing facility to accept the patient from the community. These options ensure the patient is safe and potentially prevents a return to the emergency room. Linda continuously goes above and beyond, keeping the well-being of these patients as a priority and will not give up until the patients have what they need to succeed at home. Additionally, Linda will assist with medication issues, authorizations, and provides patient education. Linda has succeeded in bridging the gap between the acute care setting and the community, providing safe transitions to the most vulnerable patients. Thank you, Linda, for all that you do.
All right, scream again, crowd back there. Woo for Linda. I see the applause and love it. And clearly you have a lot of fans and a lot of support, Linda. And, from this story, I get the sense that along with your priority of assuring their health and well-being, it's very important for you to allow them to stay in their community. And I wonder if you can tell us about, why that's so important to you and how that drives you to go above and beyond for your patients.
I've worked in home care for over 30 years, so I've seen firsthand what it means to patients to be at home, to be with their families, and that recovery is so much better being at home. And in this position, I was given such a unique opportunity to really help them to stay at home. And I really appreciate
Is that why you slid off camera? Your emoji. Come on, I want to see you.
I appreciate everyone in this department. I really feel that, we work together as a team. So thank you so much.
Well, really wonderful, Linda. I was inspired reading about your work, and what I love about this series is that we get a glimpse of the work that's being done around our health system, different roles that exist, and the deep, incredible impact each person makes in their piece of that patient experience. And when they go home and they're back in the community, sometimes we forget about those. The care continues, and there's people working on that. And your story is an excellent one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
All right, celebrate with your team, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Olivia. And now we're going to bounce back. I've got a couple of physicians from Mount Sinai Hospital's ambulatory leadership wanted to celebrate a couple of our Cullman Award celebrants from one department. Dr. Robert Hurton and Dr. Elizabeth Spencer, and Colette Watson is here to share their story. Hello.
Thank you, Steve. So the IBD Center is proud to recognize Dr. Robert Hurton and Dr. Elizabeth Spencer for their exceptional commitment to their patients and their extraordinary communication skills. A patient of Dr. Hurton shares, quote, "Dr. Hurton is terrific. Aside from being a great doctor, he is caring, listens, and talks to me in a way that ensures I am part of the problem-solving process and understand the options. He is also kind and patient in answering my questions and unbelievably accessible via the portal," end quote. A patient of Dr. Spencer shares, quote, "Dr. Spencer is an extraordinary doctor who is very knowledgeable about ulcerative colitis. She truly listens and has worked tirelessly to help my daughter, who has improved so much under her care. I am incredibly grateful," end quote. In addition to their exceptional patient care, Dr. Hurton and Dr. Spencer were among just 89 Mount Sinai providers recognized with the 2024 Cullman Family Award for Excellence in Provider Communication. The IBD team is incredibly proud of their unwavering commitment to excellence, compassionate care, and the meaningful impact they make on their patients every day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Colette. And Colette is such a big part of the Cullman Awards and creating that event annually that recognizes you have nationally ranked in that top 95 percentile in communication. So while she did a wonderful job of picking out a great quote for each of you, we know there are dozens, if not hundreds, of patient quotes that have come in about your excellent care. And I'd love to hear from each of you. You know, you're described as these exceptional listeners and communicators that helps people feel truly involved in their care. And what would you say to that? How do you approach building trust and fostering collaborative relationships with your patients?
I'll start. So thank you first for the kind words, but building trust, we think really kind of starts with listening to the patients and understanding not just their symptoms, but also their concerns and their underlying goals. I also have ulcerative colitis, so I have I think a unique perspective that helps me really connect with my patients on a deeper level. And I believe in open communication and working together as a team with my patients, and taking that time to explain things clearly and ensure that they really feel heard. And my main goal is really to empower them to be active participants in their own care, with their well-being as the top priority.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Dr. Spencer. And Dr. Hurton, what would you add from your perspective?
I would echo everything that Lizzie said, and thank you so much for the invitation to be here and the kind words. I think my philosophy really when I see my patients is just to treat them as I'd want my family to be treated. So I think if you can do that, if you can see the person who you're sitting with and say, if this was my dad or mom or brother or sister or someone, what would I want their doctor to do for them? And I think if you can do that for each person you're seeing, I think you can really hopefully improve their care and make them feel heard. So thanks again.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I know the Cullman Award to begin with is an incredible honor. And with that mindset going about, I'm sure you'll be repeat 95th percentile nationally physicians. We're so lucky and fortunate to have you here as part of Mount Sinai. And I know you'll continue to get the same exceptional results in 2025. Thank you so much, Drs. Hurton and Dr. Spencer.
Thanks.
And thank you, Colette. We're going to come back to you for more Mount Sinai Hospital a little later on. We're going to go into the next section, which is for our Stories of Excellence section. We're waiting for Lenny Jones. It's a great story. I hope we're getting that one for Lenny. He is out and about the hallways, so we're trying to bring him to a computer. So Colette, hang on for that one. But these are these one-time remarkable stories that was like a single event where someone recognized a concern or an emergency situation or an event taking place where they jumped in to help. And we're going to go first then to Ellie Park. Let's have you do the one from Mount Sinai Downtown Leadership, recognize someone at Union Square, and we'll bring Jasmine Geraldo up for our next story.
Thank you, Steve, and congratulations to all the amazing staff being celebrated today. Jasmine Geraldo, the practice supervisor in the Department of Surgery, was seen going above and beyond for a patient who arrived for a much anticipated but improperly scheduled appointment. This appointment quickly turned into tears as the patient who works the night shift had paid a very expensive cab fare to arrive on time for the visit. Jasmine intervened quickly, called the referring provider, and scheduled the patient for a next day appointment at a more accessible site. As a result, the patient walked away with an appointment and a smile on her face. Jasmine, thank you for going the extra mile for this patient. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie. And Jasmine, I just love that you were in the area and your attention hit. Like something was done, an emotion was shown, someone said something, and you immediately knew, let me jump in. This is a service recovery moment. And I wonder if you can speak to that. This is like a learning lesson, a classroom, teaching moment of, service recovery approach. How were you able to jump in and address the concerns in a way that took this, what they were upset and a negative experience, and create a positive one?
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I just couldn't pass the opportunity to help someone out. It was an opportunity this woman came and it overnight shift. You can tell she came straight from work. She was in tears to find out that the appointment was not for today. There was indeed no appointment made. And because of my previous experience as an administrative assistant, particular to the doctor that thought she was coming to see, I was able to be creative and say, you know what? He has office hours elsewhere. And then through active listening, I was able to say, wait a minute, listening to her story and knowing where she lives, this is more convenient for you. You will not need to pay another cab. So, it's all active listening. You have to listen to the patient uninterrupted. And then you have to also just jump in and see creatively what ways can I possibly help this patient. And, I don't miss those opportunities. I love helping patients out.
I love it. And sometimes it's our own fault and we have to do service recovery because we
Absolutely.
created the problem. And sometimes it's not. And this was the case, we didn't do anything wrong in the scheduling. Something happened and it wasn't the right date, but it doesn't matter.
It
Have to
doesn't
go into the
matter. We still
mindset.
apologize and we still, on behalf, they'll say, but you didn't do anything wrong. And it's like, no, but I'm sorry this is happening. How can I make this right? How can I help you?
You're hitting it all, Jasmine. That is what empathy really means. I understand, and this is happening. We had Kathy say it in the chat. This is a we find a way story. Like, look, this happened. Let me find a way to improve this as best I can. And that's why creativity is of value. To create these experiences and make a change, we have to be creative sometimes and thinking of the options and choosing one that we feel will be best. So you're really exemplifying our values in this single moment that was captured by some colleagues who submitted it on your behalf.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. All right, and Allie, we're going to come back to you a little later on. I'm still waiting on a couple. Now, I know William Jacobs is here and he's next. We're going to go to that story. His manager might be the one that we're bringing on screen to help out. Tyler Geegan from Mount Sinai Morningside is going to read this story, and there we go. All right, we got you, William.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. All right, Tyler, let's hear the story first.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. So William Jacobs, a dialysis assistant here at Mount Sinai Morningside, went above and beyond to help the loved one of one of our patients. A colleague shared the following story. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Mr. Jacobs for his heroic save. Mr. Jacobs caught my patient's visitor in the elevator as he fainted, carried him out of the elevator, and called for help. Thanks to him, the visitor was okay and didn't sustain any injuries. William, thank you for all that you do, not only for our patients, but also just creating a safe environment for everyone who walks through our doors. We're so grateful and honored to have you as part of our team at Morningside.
Yeah, thank you. Now, William, I know that catching a person who's dropping in front of you was probably instinct and jumped in there, but I love that they said, you continued. You stayed a part of it. You continued with the response to ensure this visitor's safety. And they really recognize not only did you act, but you continued to be there and ensure the patient's safety before you stepped on. And I wonder if you can share your experience in this moment and what guided you to remain calm and approach this so effectively.
Well, Steve, you never know how you're going to react at a moment like that. I'm just very fortunate that I was confident to be there for him at that moment and to see it firsthand. All the training that you go through, the classes and the courses that you take for moments like this is where it's really worthwhile being here, being part of this industry, knowing how to react at the slightest moment and to help save a life. It's rewarding. And I'm just glad that he was fine, that everything worked out great.
And I'm glad you got to hear that, the continued care that the patient ended up being okay in the end. And you're right. My team's always going to love when we hear training and how it got to become instinct. And when you're well trained and you're prepared and you're committed to safety, then with confidence that you'll react in a way that is going to be safe experience for our patients. So really wonder, I'm seeing comments, Erica Rubenstein, amazing story. We really just love it. And the patient I know and their family is very fortunate that you were there for that moment.
Well, thank you. And I will also like to say thank you to the nurses and staff of 8 East and 8 West. They played a great part in this, and that we all came together when it was necessary to help this individual and help him in front of his loved ones, and that everything went well.
Yeah, absolutely. This was not a single person, but that group was the one who wanted to recognize you and talk about how exceptional your response was. But yes, we thank them as well. Thank you for giving them the shout out.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for having me. Thank you to 8 East and 8 West.
All right. Well, thank you, William. Tyler, we're going to keep it right here with you. We've got a pair from Mount Sinai Morningside Ambulatory was recognized. Shatisha Kirkland and Javon Douglas are together. Let's bring them up and we'll hear this story.
Great. Okay,
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Welcome. So when a frail and disoriented patient approached the checkout counter at our Institute for Advanced Medicine, Javon Douglas and Shatisha Kirkland recognized the urgency of the situation and acted swiftly. One assisted the patient directly, providing immediate care and support, while the other notified clinical and administrative leadership. Their quick response facilitated prompt intervention by the care team. The patient had their vitals rechecked and was stabilized before being discharged from the clinic. And their collaboration, attentiveness to both verbal and nonverbal cues, and their ability to act decisively in these critical moments really demonstrates their deep commitment to patient-centered care that significantly enhances the experience of all of our patients at the Jack Martin Fun Center.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Another example like Williams of this moment you didn't predict, but you were prepared for and confidently handling. And, this story really commented on your attentiveness to verbal and nonverbal cues. And without knowing when something might come up that requires you to jump in and help, how are you always looking out for the safety of patients in your practice? How do you always have an eye on cues that you might pick up on that prepares you to be so effective when you jump into support?
We are basically trained, again, the training with noticing verbal and nonverbal cues. So if a person is chatty and things like that, we're able to chat them up and see what their day is like. If not, sometimes they'll have a mean little face on it. Then we'll engage, like, so how was your visit? Things like that. So we look for facial expressions, gestures, eye contact, also the tone of the person's voice. So you can tell a lot about about how the patient is doing with the tone of their voice, whether it's shaky or anything like that. The patient actually, I said, "How you doing?" And he said, and normally he's not like that. He's normally like a chatterbox. And then I asked him, "Are you okay?" And then he just leaned back against the wall and like slid down. So that's when I knew it was time for some action.
And
I'm sorry, by the time I came downstairs, it was like during the lunch hour. And we was also saying goodbye to a fellow employee who was leaving. So some of the staff was upstairs. So we was right by my manager's office. And when I seen that the patient had slid to the floor and it wasn't, anything could happen. You don't know if they fainted, if it was cardiac arrest. So I'm used to having to alert the staff. So immediately I text my manager to let him know a patient fell. Someone else, we need more staff to come downstairs just in case the patient codes or anything like that. So, this is a little different. This is outpatient. It's not like inpatient where you have an overhead and you could alert everyone. But just like you said, verbal, nonverbal, you look at how they speaking, how they talking, you see something's off. I think he was hot and sweating also. Once he got up, I think he said he was dizzy or some sort, like, he didn't eat or something that day. Maybe it's just because he didn't eat, but he did feel better when he left. So you get your blood taken, that makes you weak and stuff like that. So, I'm used to alerting everyone. Patients come first. I treat patients the same way I would want someone to treat me. So if something happens to me, I want everyone to know so they can help me so we can all be good.
Well, really, really wonderful. And your conversation here and sharing, your expertise shows the expertise you have at reading the patients who are out there in your space. I'm picturing it like a doctor or medical assistant will do their intake and ask questions and get the story of their health. But you're just through conversation doing an emotional intake and understanding, where's this person coming in? Where are they emotionally? What might they need? How are they feeling? And you're doing that through conversation that on the surface, it might just look like you're having a conversation, but you're really cataloging what this patient is maybe needing as part of their
Right. Yeah.
It's amazing. Really great to hear that in-depth insight into the way you approach your patients.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. And so glad we got to share that story. Thank you, Tyler.
Bye.
Take care. We're going to go to another pair. We've got Linda Daniel and Jonathan Arocho are together. They're from Mount Sinai Health System's radiology leadership recognized them. They're a pair from Mount Sinai, Brooklyn. So I'm going to have Katrina Bravo from Brooklyn come on up and share this story for Linda and Jonathan. Hello.
Hello. Congratulations to all those recognized, and I'm happy to present our radiology team members, Linda Daniel and Jonathan Arocho. When an emergency department physician expressed concern about a patient needing a CT scan, CT technologists Linda and Jonathan swiftly expedited the patient to CT. They accurately informed the physician about the presence of free air on the scan, which often indicates a life-threatening bowel perforation. Linda and Jonathan's swift action possibly saved the patient's life as they were rushed to the OR. Individually, Linda is described as the glue of the department, always willing to help, and a dedicated team player. Jonathan is known for his creativity, constantly finding ways to better serve patients in the emergency department. Their conscientious efforts are greatly appreciated, and they are true assets to the department. We express our heartfelt thanks and congratulations to Linda and Jonathan for their excellence in service. Thank you both.
Excellent. Thank you, Katrina. And Linda and Jonathan, I know this was shared in November during Radiology Technologists Week to highlight an example of the great work you do and the critical work that you do. So on behalf of all radiology technologists, can you talk about, what brings you the most pride in your work and makes the biggest impact in the care you provide for your patients?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so we provide, radiology has a big impact on patient care. And when we do our imaging, we have to calm the fears of patients when they get on the table and make the imaging of excellent quality. So knowing that I'm a part of the team that gives the information to radiologists and doctors to make decisions for their patients, I'm incredibly proud of that moment when, they say, oh, the images were, excellent and they were able to do great interpretation. So I'm incredibly proud of that.
And life-saving.
Thank you.
In this case and in this story. Jonathan, anything you'd like to add?
Yes. Hello. Thank you again for this recognition, first of all. We are in radiology, I believe we're very important in the medical field. We are the doctor's eyes. And without us, medicine wouldn't be so enhanced. So so thank you again.
Yes. Yeah, of course. I love that you're the doctor's eyes. You create that opportunity for them to see, what you're seeing and bringing to them. And we absolutely appreciate you. We're glad this was part of Radiology Technologist Week. And we actually have another radiology technologist later on in the show. So we're going to get to that story next. It was a theme of the month for sure. So thank you so much and congrats. We're glad we could share this story.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say thank you to our leaders, Dr. Sean Honig and Belinda Burrell.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to go, and I'm going to bring Kathy Gilbert back up. We have our health system leadership for laboratory. So our labs leadership for the whole health system recognized finance manager Ryan Keneally and the great work he does and the crucial role he plays for the laboratory. So Kathy, let's start off and hear this story.
Get off of mute. Financial manager Ryan Keneally plays a crucial role in managing all financial responsibilities for the pathology department. His expertise and dedication make him a strong pillar of support for the clinical lab administration, overseeing budgets, financial reviews, and monthly reporting. Highly detail-oriented, Ryan ensures that every aspect of his work is thorough and precise. He addresses inquiries from the finance team with ease, diving into problem solving and resolving concerns promptly. His proactive approach and unwavering commitment to delivering results on time, even under tight deadlines, make him a reliable and indispensable member of the team. Ryan also contributes significantly to new business planning and strategic initiatives, consistently focusing on identifying efficiencies and driving cost savings for the department. Thank you, Ryan. We truly appreciate your dedication, hard work, and tireless efforts in keeping the pathology department financially updated and running smoothly.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. And this story is what moved us into our employee spotlight section. They had the entire laboratory across the system. Leadership chose your story to share, and your leadership's praising your proactive and tireless efforts to keep the department running smoothly. Do you have some personal mission statement or vision that you commit to in your work that drives this success, and what would that be?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. It's an honor, to be along with all you great employees. I mean, for me, teamwork is a huge thing. I'm not a clinical background, I'm a finance background, but obviously a lot of the work is clinical related. We have a great team in pathology, from the top of the chair down through all the leadership into the department and all the employees. So I rely on their subject matter experts. They're the best in the world. And as you see on this call, we have the best employees around. So I thank them. Nothing I can do is without their help. So I really appreciate everyone here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ryan, and very humble of you. And you're right to often recognize that, wow, we work with incredible people at Mount Sinai. To know that the work that you're doing is a part of this team that has people who are the best in the world at what they do, and a team that's the best in the world. And we take great pride in that. And to recognize that and then give your full self, to recognize you're going to step up your own game to match their expertise is clearly being seen and recognized. And you're the best in the world, as far as I'm concerned, in laboratory finance.
I appreciate it, and thank you again.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for joining. Glad we could share that story. Okay, and we're going to move on to our appreciation by colleagues section. Evan Adon has been working with patients right up until this moment. We're going to bring him on. He's from Mount Sinai downtown Union Square. So Ellie, come on up for Evan's story.
All right, Evan, I'm so happy that you were able to make it with us today. We cut it very close. So for Evan, a colleague wrote the following message of praise for Evan Adon, a CT technologist in radiology. As I was taking care of a patient's concern regarding billing, Evan was listening and asked the patient if she is able to see her billing information on her MyChart app. The patient was a Spanish-only speaking elderly woman, and when she said that she didn't know how to navigate the app, Evan immediately helped her download the app, register her for her account, and gave her some quick tips on navigating the app. I was so impressed by his compassion and willingness to raise the bar on patient experience. Congratulations, Evan.
Yeah, thanks, Ellie. And it's so funny. Jasmine and Evan, both at Union Square, both stories were about jumping in when they heard something. They picked up on something and said, let me jump in to help and give myself. So, Evan, this praise came for your colleagues. We're in our appreciation by colleagues section, and they were so impressed with you and recognizing that you've raised the bar for providing an excellent patient experience. And I wonder if you could talk about your approach to caring for patients that inspires you to bring this level of extra support and compassion into their experience.
First of anything, thank you very much. I feel honored for this. And let me tell Stephen that I've been with Sinai 9 years, and I still remember my first day. You actually did part of my interviews. The key word here is empathy. These patients come here with problems that they can be bigger than they look, and they need somebody to listen to them, to be compassionate. It can be, you got to think of them like it can be your mother. My mother is a cancer survivor. So I would have liked all the time for her to be taken care the same way I take care of all my patients. They can be my family, somebody I love, somebody I know. So they are already dealing with a lot. And if they come under my care, is for that, to be taken care of, to make the process as easy and painless as possible. And to know that there is patients that come and they ask for me every year. They ask for me, where is Evan? I want him to do my scan. Is actually, it feels amazing.
Yeah. I'll bet it does. That's wonderful, Evan. And you know, empathy isn't something you turn on and off like a switch. You just have it. You have that radar where you're paying attention to patients and picking up on cues. And that's what this story was. You just jumped in and said, I can help this person. And I picked up on it and you dove in. So that empathy is clearly in your heart always. And it's leading people seeking you out. They want that. They want that as part of their experience with you.
Yes, absolutely. And thanks also for my team. We have a close-knit team. My management is always willing to work. Joanne herself was actually dealing with the patient with me. So we attack two problems at the same time and got the patient living here very satisfied with the service. And this is her place now.
That's wonderful. And I know you stepped away from patients and you're going right back to your patients. So go back out there and do your great work. And I know you have a lot of lucky patients today who are going to get to meet with you.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Evan.
it.
And thank you, Ellie. We've got 3 stories left. We're coming up on one. Don't worry. We're going to go through these 3 excellent stories still to go. These are appreciation from colleagues. We're going to go to the Access Center, Faculty Practice Access Center. Ayanna Clark was recognized by a colleague through a star recognition. And we have Siddiqa Horn coming on to read that one.
Hi, Steve, and congratulations to all the honorees today. And I'm very excited to celebrate Ayanna Clark here from the FPA Access Center. She's been with the Access Center since 2019. A clinical nurse in the Access Center wrote the following message of appreciation for scheduling coordinator Ayana Clark. Ayana answered my questions without hesitation, provided some helpful tips, and walked me through the process to make scheduling a breeze. Ayana also offered to be readily available if I had any questions with scheduling. She was so professional, kind, and had so much patience, and did this all with a smile. She increased my confidence in scheduling my patient today. Ayana is a perfect example of what teamwork should look like, which is why I want to give her recognition she deserves. Thank you, Ayana.
Yeah, thank you. The perfect example. So what does that look like, Ayana? What is to you being a perfect example of teamwork for the people you care for and your colleagues in your department?
No, of course. I first want to say thank you for having me and thank you for those kind words. And congratulations to all the honorees today. But what that looked like to me is pretty much like having a supportive attitude and just having an encouraging space. That's pretty much key. It does help build trust and communication amongst the team itself. That it enhances workflow and patient care, which is pretty much one of our main goals to accomplish. Also creating like a collaborative and encouraging workspace environment where everyone can, contribute their best. Um, and I try my best to embody these principles in, my daily interactions with the team.
Yeah, trust and communication has been a theme today. I love it. And I love the encouragement aspect to collaboration, not just being collaborative, but encouraging collaboration, being open to that space to say, welcoming it and encouraging people to participate more is beyond just, hey, I'm open to collaboration. I love that insight, Ayana. That's
No,
really
of course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Next up, we're going to go to network practices. Zoe Long has a story for Punita Darji, another financial manager like Kevin, who we had earlier. Okay. Or Ryan, I'm sorry. Ryan Keneally, we had earlier. And more financial managers. We have Zoe, and here's Punita. Hi.
Hi, so for Punita, she's our financial manager and the quiet glue that holds our credentialing together, running circles around all of us in the background. She also provides leadership with epic reports in a moment's notice and is known widely as our report goddess. Punita was most recently recognized by our Senior Director of Operations in Queens, Carla Moscoso, who wrote, "I don't know how you do it, Punita, but you do it. Thank you for always making the time to help us whenever we have concerns or questions about insurance and credentialing issues. You handle the credentialing for so many network providers, and you always know where the applications are in the pipeline. Thank you for always coming through when we have last-minute report requests. Thank you for everything you do."
All right. Yeah, Punita. So this leader wonders, how do you do it? I don't know how you do it. So how do you do it? What would you say is the key attribute you bring into your everyday work that leads you to get these excellent results that this leader commented that they're in awe of?
So first of all, I'd like to say thank you. It's an honor. And yes, I'm able to do it because it's a teamwork, it's support from everybody. And network team is excellent and amazing team I work for. And the secondly, I would like to say is that I love what I do. I enjoy my work. I love what I do, and I own my work. It's the best thing. And it's credentialing is very difficult. So is reporting. It's very challenging work, but it's more enjoyable and seems easy if you love what you do.
That is
I love it.
absolutely true, Punita. I'm glad you love what you do, and that passion for the work you do is critical into being excellent at what you do. And when you bring that passion, you bring that love, it comes through in your work. And you said you own that work, and that's seen when you really have that passion for it. So I'm so glad that your role at Mount Sinai is something you are fulfilled by and brings you joy, and that you have such a love for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this recognition.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for our audience who's sticking with us. We've got Dr. Ann Powers here from Mount Sinai Hospital to cap things off. And I heard Lenny came. We're going to go back to Lenny if you can. Oh my gosh, Dr. Powers, it looks like you're right in the midst of a busy day of work. Thank you for joining us. It's a great story from colleagues. So Colette, I'm going to let you go right into it.
Absolutely. Thank you. A colleague writes, quote, Ann Powers approaches the work that she does with empathy and understanding. We have most recently been working together on an incredibly difficult case with a patient who has extremely advanced cancer and limited treatment options, made more difficult by his personal beliefs regarding alternative treatment options being more beneficial than Western treatment options. throughout the course of his hospitalization. Anne continues to lead both her interactions as well as those of the whole team with compassion, empathy, and care, trying to find a path that is realistic and in line with his beliefs. I know that with Anne, I have a strong team member to collaborate with as we continue to navigate situations both hard and easy.
Yeah, all right, Dr. Ann Power. So this to me is a we find a way story. Really paying attention to what does the patient need, but also knowing clinically what you decided, feel is the best and most realistic approach. I wonder if you can walk us through your experience with this patient and how you approach this to get the best outcome.
Yeah, this patient, I feel very grateful to him because he taught us and the team a lot. And something that was very important to him and to us was maintaining his dignity throughout the hospitalization. So I feel very grateful to the patient for trusting us with his care and also to all of the teams that we leaned on to help us take care of him, including the intensive care unit, all the nursing staff on each center, the ethics committee really helped us, and our social work team was extraordinary. So felt very grateful for all of the members of his care team, and the patient especially.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for going into that detail, recognizing the team that it takes to support that. And, I really do see this as that Mount Sinai, we find a way. Whatever you're coming in with, we're going to be empathic to it. We're going to show empathy. We're going to seek to understand and do the best we can together to collaborate and come up with that treatment plan. Really, really wonderful example. What makes
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it and very inspiring stories.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Aren't they all great stories? So
Amazing.
thank you so much, Dr. Powers. And Colette, it's great that you're here on. I know before our audience goes, Lenny made it. We have Lenny Jones, one of the stories from earlier. Lenny, hello. We're so glad you're able to pop in here right at the end. We want to share your story before we say goodbye.
Amazing. Congrats, Lenny. And thank you
Colette,
for
I'll give you a second to go back in your script to find Lenny's story.
Oh, I have it ready. I'm ready to go. We can get into the story. All right. So Lenny's story goes, a pair of labor and delivery nurses wrote the following message of appreciation for environmental services colleague Lenny Jones. Quote, we would like to recognize Mr. Lenny Jones for his service. We had a patient and her significant other get into an argument. In order to de-escalate the situation, we needed the two individuals to separate. Mr. Jones saw there was a need for help, and without asking, Mr. Jones stepped in to assist us with the significant other. He went above and beyond his duties. With his help, we were able to bring the two back together in a calmer setting. I know the significant other is grateful for his listening ear. We definitely want to thank him and would like him to be recognized for his assistance.
Yeah. This is beyond the badge. What does it mean to go beyond the badge? You have your role and what you do, and then you go beyond. And this is the third story today of someone who recognized they could help and did whatever they could to jump in and support colleagues and help out. So, to me, Lenny, this story demonstrates your agility to respond to an unexpected event, your teamwork to support colleagues who needed help, your commitment to caring for patients, and your excellent communication skills to actually de-escalate the situation that this family was experiencing. And I'd just love to, you'll cap off our episode today, talk about your experience in this moment, and what you were able to do to help de-escalate things. And you're on mute right now. Let's bring you off mute. There you go.
Okay. I bet. Okay. Well, I was cleaning a room next to them in triage. It was a young couple. I seen things were getting heated, and it's not the place for this, especially you about to bring a baby into this world. So I decided to step in, just trying to help them out, separate them, speak to the young man, just speak positivity into them. Let them know that the energy that he's dishing out is going to come into his baby, and we need to bring that into the world as well. So I was just, just trying to help out for somebody else, especially the youth as well. Because sometimes we need the leadership, we need that moment to be recognized, to be understood, we need that moment to be heard. And I think he was going through stuff as well, and he just wanted to be heard, to let him know his feelings mattered. So I just explained to him I've been there before, I understand that, and moving forward, you can express that to her without, being angry, being upset, because it's not about you, it's not about her, it's about the baby that's coming into this world. And once we spoke about that and he understood that a little bit better, he went into a calm situation. So to this day here, we text like randomly just to see how you doing. He had a beautiful baby boy, and the baby is healthy. They're both looking for employment, working on their housing situation. So it actually worked out pretty good. I was glad I was able to help them and just give him the advice and give him the ear to listen to.
First of all, I'm glad this is being recorded because that's great advice for any parent, because it's just
Thank you.
exceptionally well said, and it's so inspiring to hear that you're still in touch, that you stepped
Yes.
in this moment that none of us as parents will ever forget, the birth of our children. And I would imagine this person is going to picture you and your conversation and be a better parent for life because of the
Well, I hope
conversation they
so.
had. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely inspiring, Lenny.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all you do. And we're so happy you're with that labor and delivery team. Your colleagues are the ones who wrote this up to express how much they value and appreciate you
Thank
as
you
a
for
colleague.
having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you and Labor Delivery for having me as well and welcoming me as family and embracing me. I appreciate it. It means a lot.
Beautiful. What an ending of our first episode of 2025. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you to all of you who have
You're
hung out
welcome.
here. We got a little past 1 o'clock, but you see, these are stories that are truly inspiring, that recognize work that's happening every day by exceptional, as Ryan said earlier, number one, best people in the world doing this work. And everyone like Punita, who's, focused on being her best and showing her love for the work. When we all do that, we're all number one at what we do, because we're committed to being the best we can be in those roles. And that's what Beyond the Badge means. And that's how you end up being recognized by your leadership to come join us today. So thank you all for joining. Again, always special thanks to our colleagues in the System Daily Huddle, Swati Garg, Hillary Polly, Joseph Mary, who get us these stories every month. And come back if you enjoyed this. Come back next month. February 7th is our next episode. It's our season 3 finale as we share the December stories from the Huddle from 2024. We'll see you then. Take care, everyone.